We do have a form seeking, so the first on the agenda is the proposal with the Calhoun County ISD budget presentation.
Please speak up, we can't hear who's speaking.
All right, welcome everybody. I just wanted to give a brief presentation over the financial situation in which we're in today. To begin, I just wanted to talk about our mission and vision. CCISD will be the premier school community in the coastal bend, building a culture of collaboration and support.
This is Superintendent Evan Cardwell talking at a CCISD school board meeting at H.J.M. Elementary.
So ultimately, we want our kiddos from all corners of Calhoun County, all 3,302 of them, to walk across the stage and go on and be successful, be ready to take on their goals and dreams. And so with that, we have a little financial hurdle in front of us. What you're looking at is CCISD fund balance, which is basically our savings account. And so starting back in 2021, we had the COVID era hit, and then post-COVID, we were kind of waiting for the legislator to continue to increase school funding, and that would be the 23 legislative session, and funding got put on hold, and then we were kind of waiting around to see what would happen in 2025. House Bill 2 came out, and they funded it a little different way, and I'll get into that here in a second. But based on Calhoun County ISD's budget, almost 80% of our budget is payroll, so we're in the human capital business. We pay our employees for their knowledge and skills to get our students ready for the real world. Budget items, things we can control, staffing levels, compensation levels, campus budgets, property tax rates, bonds, special allotments, and grants. Factors that we cannot control, things that are out of our control when we're looking ahead to have a budget, and that's our enrollment and attendance. We've lost over 1,000 students in the past 10 years. Inflation, as you know, has gone up 30% since 2019. School funding, which is our basic allotment, has gone up not even 1% since 2019. Insurance premiums continue to go up, and recapture. So we are a Robin Hood district, meaning we any surplus income from our property taxes go back to the state. And so since the program started in 1993, CCISD has put back $37.7 million, and also the property tax values continue to go up and down. So here you see in 2019, the basic allotment, it was $61.60, and that's what we get paid per student. And over time, you can see here in this last legislative session, they increased the allotment by $55. And so what I try to tell a lot of people is, how far does $55 go at Walmart or H.J.M? It didn't go very far. But as you can see, the blue line, that's kind of the rate of inflation. So you have the rate of inflation versus what they're funding schools per kiddo nowadays. And so earlier I mentioned we lost 1,000 students over the course of 10 years. And so that 1,000 students, based on these numbers, the 6160, it's roughly $6 million that we've lost out on because of our enrollment decline. And so I put the staff ratio up there as well, because ideally, you want those two lines to run parallel. As your enrollment decreases, you also would like your staff to decrease as well. And so we start to look at the trend for Port O'Connor, and back in 1819, the enrollment was 87. And so as we get into the post-COVID era, it was 67, 63, and we were really trying to, keep it going, keep it open. But this year, it looks like.
Would we be able to have anyone in the group be able to see if there's any sound, or if we're having any volume issues, let us know.
From 87 to 55, which is about 30%. And so as you look at the grade level numbers, look at the early grades, pre-K, kinder, first grade, you know, that it doesn't seem that the enrollment trend is increasing. And so in order, you know, to efficiently work this school, you would have to combine classes, consolidate pre-K, kinder first, and second, third, fourth, fifth, and you know, that would be good experience for those kiddos or that teacher that is running those classrooms. And so you get into the breakdown when we talk about cost per student based on your ratios. This is pulled from the TEA table report, so anybody can go online and look that up. But Jackson Roosevelt, you're looking at 7,670 kids per student. H.J.M. Elementary, 8,146. Port O'Connor, 15,296, and then Seadrift School, 13,171. And so I know there's a lot of staff out there that are concerned about kind of what their future looks like and kind of what the next step is for them. We have 6 teachers that will be dispersed throughout the district. We put out a survey, and so based on their preference and kind of where they're needed, we'll find spots for them. We have 3 paraprofessionals that will also be needed elsewhere in the district, and then the 2 auxiliary personnel, which is our food service employee and our custodial staff. They're always short-handed, so they'll find a home as well. Again, we were able to, we're proposing this so that no employee will kind of lose employment here at CCISD. So based on the data we collected, the strategy put forward is an estimated $800,000, and then any future maintenance projects cost. I know Seadrift School was built in the early 1900s. There's some maintenance expenses that are coming up, and with the deficit that we're facing, any cost incurred would be a tremendous hit to the fund balance. And so, how did we come about to today? We looked at back in March 25th of 2024, the board requested a financial audit of Port O'Connor, and then this past December, we formed a financial committee, and we kind of discussed the 26-27 budget and what it would look like, and what were some strategies that we could do to kind of help reduce the deficit. In January 30th, the district started putting out newsletters trying to inform the public on kind of what the financial situation was and how we were receiving funding and those kind of things. And then March 6th through 11th, the financial committee met again, and we met with board members. And on April 27th, at our previous board meeting, we put on a school board budget workshop, and we kind of laid out some of these things. And then on June 8th is when we put forward strategies to reduce the deficit. And so if we continue how we're going, I guess I want to bring this back up to like next year in 27-28, we will fall below the TEA required 3 months of operating expenses for our fund balance. So if we look the other way and continue on this path in 30-31, the district will be out of fund balance. So again, I think it's important to understand the situation we're in, and that we're unique, that we're a county-wide school district. And so because we're county-wide, it covers a large area, and so it makes it difficult. And again, I just want you to know I sympathize with you, and I just want to take care of our kiddos and our staff, and it's just a difficult thing to go through right now. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to the board president, and we will continue with the public hearing.
Okay, normally what we have during the public hearing for the board encourages comments about the district from members of the public. Anyone who has signed up to speak in advance of the meeting in accordance with the board procedures may do so at this time. The board asks that each participant comments pertaining to district business, and due to the number of people that have asked to speak, which is 21, we normally allow 3 minutes, but due to time constraints, I'm going to limit that to 2 minutes. The adjustment is due to the number of speakers.
This is Bill Schrader speaking right now.
Consolidate those. The 21 of you can consolidate and limit the number of speakers. All right, the board agrees to give you 3 minutes.
Thank you.
So, I will remind you that this speaking is to be allowed. You are speaking to the board, not to the audience. And also, it's about the Port O'Connor closure. That's the only thing. The board is not allowed to comment or answer questions. I would like the first speaker to come up, Ms. Rigamonti.
During the 26th school year, our family will have a senior, junior, sophomore, freshman, and a 5th grader at Port O'Connor Elementary. I'm investing in this district with my time, my tax dollars, and my heart. I can't describe Mr. Cardwell's actions as anything other than a stunt, dropping a bombshell on our communities and then conveniently stepping away for school business was calculated and premeditated. While it may or may not have been legal, it was certainly not ethical. This action incited fear, panic, and uncertainty among parents and community members. Parents who intentionally choose Port O'Connor as their home did so because they believe it offers the best education opportunities for their children. For many families, our local schools are the foundation of their children's entire education experience. The impact extends beyond families. Business owners in Port O'Connor and Seadrift already struggle with a limited labor pool. The prospect of school closures creates another burden that directly affects their bottom line. It is, quite frankly, a swift kick to the checkbooks. The damage wouldn't stop at the borders of Seadrift and Port O'Connor. Businesses throughout Calhoun that provide services to our communities are also affected. These business owners are your constituents, and many of them earn part of their livelihood from the residents of Port O'Connor and Seadrift. With less than 7 days' notice, it seems impossible that alternatives could be found. Yet, with only a few hours, community members reviewed the district budget and found numerous areas where reductions could be considered without permanently damaging the communities that contribute significantly to the district's tax base and revenue. Simply put, don't shoot yourself in the foot. Trustees, if you don't already see the obvious answer, I respectfully ask you to vote no on this proposal. At the very least, pause this decision and direct the administration to return to the drawing board. Give them time needed to identify solutions that don't harm our youngest and most vulnerable students and that don't weaken the communities that you were elected to serve. The children of Port O'Connor and Seadrift deserve better. Our families and communities deserve better. The highest paid physician in this district earns approximately $205,350 per year because leading a school is a hard job. It requires vision, creativity, problem solving, and the ability to find solutions that balance the needs of the students, the taxpayers, the staff, and the communities. Closing campuses and moving students into already crowded classrooms should not be the first solution offered to this community. We expect district leadership to explore every reasonable alternative before taking actions that permanently harm our schools and impact our communities.
Thank you, Ms. Rigamonti.
Thank you for your time and consideration.
Next up, Melody Martinez.
return of extended daily transportation falls heavily on our youngest learners, who benefit greatly from remaining connected to their local community and attending school close to home. Such lengthy commutes can negatively affect both academic performance and overall well-being. Port O'Connor Elementary has long served as a vital part of our community identity. Its presence signals that Port O'Connor is a place where families can live, work, and raise children. Removing this institution sends the opposite message and risks accelerating population decline rather than encouraging growth. We respectfully ask the Board of Trustees to carefully consider the long-term consequences of this decision and to preserve Port O'Connor Elementary School for the benefit of current and future generations. Maintaining a local elementary school is an investment not only in our children, but also in the continued vitality and sustainability of Port O'Connor. Thank you for your time and consideration and service to the students and families of Calhoun County.
Miss Jamie Albright Chapman, so I can't read the name.
And yes, I'm going to be channeling Naomi Albright tonight. Port O'Connor knows what I mean by that. When my mother came to teach here in Port O'Connor, it was still Port O'Connor School District. A year later, it became Calhoun County Independent School District. And one of the things we have learned in Port O'Connor is that in Port Lavaca's opinion, the only way the buses run is into Port Lavaca. And if any money needs to be saved, it can come out of Port O'Connor right along with the tax money from Port O'Connor. This is not an appropriate, simple solution. It's been tried before. It's been put into case. We know that in 1991, when another superintendent thought this was a great solution, your local newspaper managing editor pointed out to you that a considerable part of your tax base came out of Port O'Connor. And Port O'Connor does not get back what it puts in to Calhoun County. Another point that's not being considered is academic excellence. Yes, the school is small, but there are a lot of small schools in Texas that do not do as well as Port O'Connor. Now, we're going to close one of your best performing, if not the best performing schools in the district, and stick kindergarten kids and younger and onto a bus for 13 years or more. Does it ever occur to you could run a bus into Port O'Connor? It's quite obvious that people began this consideration with their minds already made up. I propose that this board consider tabling this decision and doing some actual research into what would be best for all students in Calhoun County, and not ignore the needs of Port O'Connor, and take advantage of the strengths of that small school.
Ms. G.
Good evening. My name is Melissa G. I'm a full-time resident of Port O'Connor, and I have 2 young children who attend Port O'Connor Elementary. I am here today to plead with the board to, at the very least, postpone this vote, but also to listen to all the speakers representing the communities as to how important these schools are to our families. Mr. Cardwell, I would like to address you directly. In June of 2024, we had a phone conversation regarding my concerns with moving my children to Port O'Connor School amid rumors of a looming closure. My daughter would be entering 3rd grade from J.R. Elementary and enrolling in Port O'Connor Elementary. I also had a pre-K student who would be enrolling that year. This had always been a dream of mine and my husband's to have our children attend Port O'Connor Elementary, but we were not in a position to make it work. Based largely on our conversation and your reassurance, we chose to become a single-income household so that we could offer our children the best education possible by sending them to Port O'Connor Elementary. You told me that you are a strong supporter of the small schools, that you would do everything in your power to keep them open, and that the closure of Port O'Connor School was, and I will quote this, nowhere on your radar for at least the next 5 years. Mr. Cardwell, I'd like to know what changed since that conversation in June of 2024, that those words are no longer true. With that reassurance, we spoke with Ms. Wiemeyer and made what we felt was a very important decision for our family, our children, and our lives. This is more than a simple change. This change will devastate many families who have built their lives around these precious schools. Since enrolling my children at Port O'Connor Elementary, they have thrived. My daughter, who was entering 3rd grade and struggling to pass math while she attended JR, mastered her math STAR test in 3rd grade. She mastered her math STAR test in 4th grade, and she continues thriving as she enters 5th grade. My youngest daughter, who is entering pre-K, is now going into 1st grade, reading at a 2nd grade level. The goal of this district should be to help these students excel. I'm struggling to understand why this board would vote to shutter a school whose students are doing exactly that. These students love their school. Their school has become their family. If we take away that family and push these children into unfamiliar territory, they will lose their thirst for knowledge. They will lose their love for school. They will lose the friends that have become their family.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Aaron Kahina.
All right, Mr. Cardwell, Trustees, School Board Trustees, educators, fellow citizens of Calhoun County, Texas. I stand before you today as the father of 2 students of POC Elementary, a husband to an educator there, volunteer firefighter, small business owner in Port O'Connor, voter, and full-time resident and taxpayer of Calhoun County. My family and I moved to Port O'Connor 3 years ago with the sole purpose of attending POC Elementary. We moved from one of the top school systems in Central Texas that routinely produces Division I athletes and scholars due to overcrowding. My daughter attended kindergarten at our old school district, while our son attended kindergarten at POC Elementary the following year. And I can attest that my son received a higher quality education than our daughter did during that our old school district. Both of my children have continued to thrive at Port O'Connor Elementary thanks to the educators and the environment that is there. I strongly suggest that you reconsider your decision to close down POC Elementary. We as a community deserve full transparency of all the financial details that went into this motion. This whole ordeal seems to be hastily pushed through and does not appear to place the students' best interests at the forefront. I feel like all affected parties need to be involved in the decision-making process, as this not only affects the school district, but all county-wide resources. I, like many other parents and citizens, would like to see where our hard-earned tax dollars are being spent. It's not uncommon knowledge that Port O'Connor is responsible for generating most of the tax revenue that feeds into this school district. I understand that Robin Hood is responsible for siphoning off funds, but we still should be able to put together a budget where funds available without sacrificing our children's education. A good, long look at the district's finances needs to be reviewed by an independent counsel. With POC being the proverbial cash cow for the county, you'd be doing a great disservice to the citizens and taxpayers of our village by shutting down the main reason why so many families have moved to this area. In conclusion, I strongly ask that we postpone this vote tonight and have a roundtable with the school district, voters, parents, and county reps, so we can all come together with a productive solution that doesn't close the only A-rated school in our county.
second-year student at Port O'Connor Elementary, and hopefully when she moves on, go to Seadrift for middle school. It's my responsibility to keep an eye on the future for our family, and that's why I'm here. I'm going to do my best to see that these remain open. I urge y'all to pause this vote. We didn't get any input for this. We were completely blindsided. So, we invested in our home community at Port O'Connor. Both my husband and I lived outside of the county. We experienced the world, moved back with the intent of raising a family in Port O'Connor to go to Port O'Connor Elementary School. We were shocked on Tuesday. With a decision this size, I'd expect more community outreach, more options discussed with the public, and, the lack of that is just outrageous. But, it's true we have a few years until she goes to school. That being said, I understand attendance has decreased across the board. And while that may be true, I'm curious what your projections are for enrollment. I've spoken with no less than 6 to 8 families. They intend to move their families and at least have 2 kids apiece. They're looking to try and get in here. And I have a friend whose house, they're trying to close on their house. They don't know if they're going to based on what decisions y'all make today. So, take that into consideration. The long bus rides, what does that mean for her? She's going to have to get up earlier, stay up later than every other kid in the county. What does that mean for her safety? I don't know. Added cost of transportation, if you decided to add in more buses for kids, I don't know. Time's our most precious commodity, and have we taken the time to make absolutely sure that it'll be worth the cost to make this very permanent decision? It's been made clear by the lack of information that these things may not have been taken into consideration. And as a mother, it's my responsibility to keep thinking forward. I urge you to pause this vote. Prove to us that you've done everything in your power to keep the doors open to Port O'Connor and Seadrift. And as stated in the document, your goal is to reduce costs with minimal student impact. And I would like to see that happen by making Port O'Connor Elementary and Seadrift Middle School open. Thank you.
Brandy Barisky.
Before a decision of this magnitude is made. Do the work, ask
we recognize that the budget is facing a lot of budget challenges. The school would undermine the growth and economic vitality of our community. Port O'Connor is a very fast-growing community in Calhoun County, and we have families and small businesses that are moving there and relocating their families there so they can strive to work. The families contribute significantly to our local economy through home and rental purchases, local spending, and workforce participation in our business and our industries. Closing that school and busing young children to neighboring communities is going to have a severe negative economic impact on Port O'Connor. There's going to be a loss of attractiveness to new residents. Without a local elementary school, we will lose the competitive advantage, slow the population growth, and reduce demand for housing and local services in Port O'Connor. It's going to harm economic development. Without a neighborhood school, it becomes far less appealing to young families to move to our community, and this will directly impact our local businesses, our real estate values, and our overall tax revenue. This will disproportionate burden on high-tax communities. Port O'Connor already pays a high property tax in Calhoun County. We expect our tax dollars to support essential local services, including maintaining our neighborhood school that serves as a cornerstone of community stability and growth for Port O'Connor. In addition to economic impact, closing the school will disrupt the excellent educational outcomes that are currently achieved through small class sizes and personalized instruction. Young kids are going to face long bus rides, increased fatigue, safety concerns, and a loss of close-knit environment that we have in Port O'Connor. It's going to support, and it also supports both academic success and emotional well-being in Port O'Connor. Young children will face extended daily commutes, leading to fatigue, reduced time for homework, family, and extracurricular activities. In a rural coastal community like ours, weather-related delays and safety issues on the roads add unnecessary risk to these children. Loss of a community hub. Port O'Connor Elementary is more than a school. It's a central gathering place that strengthens community ties and supports parental involvement and fosters local pride in our community. Closing it severs these connections and signals to families that our town is diminishing, which could discourage new residents and harm local property values. Disproportionate harm to our children. Elementary age students are particularly sensitive to disruption. They are familiar with their teachers, they have routines, and they have a close-knit school environment which contributes to emotional security and academic success. Forcing them into a larger, less personal setting risks behavioral issues and lowers engagement and setbacks that are difficult.
Thank you, Ms. Berger. Kimberly Brooks.
Good evening. So we just moved here about a year and a half ago, primarily for the smaller school districts in this area, and it has done wonders for my daughter. And the small little community of Port O'Connor welcomed us. We live in Seadrift, and so it was one of the first places that welcomed us. And we wish we had almost moved over here, but things were a little different. And I really just want y'all to really think about this, because the families they were tearing apart, the economy they were tearing apart. You may think it's for the better good of the district, but for these families, it's destroying their economic way of living. Their families are going to always remember you, your faces, and what you're doing to them, as well as their children. You're going to have people moving away. They are going to have to weep the communities they wanted to be coming back to. So I really, really hope that you guys will really think about this, take your time, and do even more research, because they don't need to be going anywhere. They need to stay right where they are.
Alexander Vasquez. I'm sorry.
Good evening. The superintendent, trustees, and members of the committee stand before you tonight completely opposed to the proposed closure of Port O'Connor Elementary and the uncertainty of Seadrift Schools. As residents, parents, and taxpayers, we understand that CCISD is facing financial headwinds. Our schools are not just buildings on a map, as somebody else stated. They are the anchors which hold our town's future steady and steadfast during our toughest storms. Balancing the district's budget should not come at the expense of our smaller coastal communities. We do not have to accept that the school closure is the only path to fiscal responsibility, nor shall it ever be an option. Across the country, in state, rural, and coastal districts with comparable demographics, tight budgets, and small student populations have found innovative ways to keep their neighborhood schools open. Other peer districts across the country have successfully kept smaller schools open by adopting shared staffing models. And some rural schools have effectively used multi-page classroom and or integrate online learning options for electives, which keeps the campus cost neutral while maintaining the community school atmosphere. Many maintain successful, cost-efficient small campuses by sharing administrative resources and centralizing non-structural instructional costs. In terms that allows the money to follow the student directly to the classroom. Some of those districts are right in our backyards. They consist of Roxanne, City, Texas City, Kaufman, which all operate on a smaller or similar budget to ours, but bigger student population. By forcing the consolidation of POC, Seadrift, the district risks seeing families abandon the public system entirely. It's happening. It's happening in other school districts. A closed school can lead to reduced local property values and diminished sense of community. The true cost will be associated within the community and not the school district. We urge the board to be creative, productive, to use every avenue, every resource, and set aside our pride for the future of our community. Explore operational efficiencies first. Grants, involve other successful districts who had success, and maintain parents involved in all future decisions related to any and all actions. Remember your mission, especially the 5th, 14th, and 16th ward of Calhoun County.
Okay,
Stand behind community,
that's your
collaboration, and support.
That's your 3 minutes. Thank you so much. Haley Penny, beginning.
My name is Haley Penny. I am a longtime community member of Seadrift. I am also an alumni of Seadrift School. I have seen the first-hand impact of what our small schools do to our community. We have a close-knit community, and it flows over into our school system. The fact that this is even being brought up to a board meeting blows my mind and is crazy because our schools rely on how good that we do academically. I know the full time that I was in school, we were exemplary. Many of my friends went to Port O'Connor, and it is the same thing here. Many of us have seen the differences these schools make in students' lives, and we believe that these values deserve to be recognized and protected. With that in mind, I would like some answers to the following questions while you're contemplating. What are the projected net savings after transportation costs, busing, staffing changes, and operational adjustments that are included? If teachers are being reassigned and eliminated, what payroll savings are actually going to be expected? Since payroll is supportedly around 80% of district expenditures, where are the savings coming from the staffing levels? What specific educational benefits will Seadrift 7th and 8th grade students gain by attending Travis Middle School? Have you all been to Travis Middle School? Increasing common time, moving students from their community campuses, and potentially reducing athletic opportunities align with the district's stated goals of reducing costs and impact on students. I used to get on those buses at 5:30 every morning and didn't get home until 7, 8 o'clock at night. What alternatives were fully evaluated before recommending this proposal? Keeping Port O'Connor open, maintaining Seadrift Junior High, boundary adjustment, voluntary transfers, other district-wide costs. Were Travis Middle School's families ever offered the option to have their children transported to Seadrift or Port O'Connor? Were anybody given the opportunity in Port Lavaca, or was it just Seadrift and Port O'Connor? Were boundary adjustments, including Longmont or other attendance areas, considered to help strengthen the enrollment in Seadrift? If not, then why? What academic data supported the recommendation to move Seadrift 7th and 8th graders and closing Port O'Connor Elementary? Were academic performance, student outcomes, attendance, discipline, class size, extracurricular opportunities compared? Were other low enrollment campuses programs such as Hope High School evaluated district-wide in this budget? How is district applying decisions about low enrollment consistently across the campuses and programs? Respectfully, these questions deserve clear answers before any decision is made to close down our schools.
Samantha Morales.
Not very good at public speaking, but I'd like to say thank you for letting us be up here to even have a chance to actually speak for once. I'm standing here before you tonight not just as a taxpayer, but as a deeply concerned parent who also grew up right here in this community. I attended our local schools because of that. I know firsthand that a school is not just a building or a line item on a spreadsheet. It is the very fabric, safety, and identity of our neighborhoods. For years, watching my own children walk through the same doors that shaped my youth has been a source of immense pride. I am deeply rooted in this community's past, and I am fully invested in the future. Okay, that is why the proposal to close Port O'Connor School and potentially Seadrift Middle School is so incredibly alarming to myself and many others here. We understand that leadership requires making complex operational and financial decisions. We know the challenges you face are not easy. But a choice of this magnitude, one that fundamentally alters the daily lives of our children and threatens the vitality of our towns, requires absolute, uncompromising transparency. Families who have supported this district for generations deserve clear answers. We are not just asking you to reconsider, we are asking you to share the math and the mythology. We want to know what alternate options were put on the table, what other avenues were explored to save money before we resorted to shutting down the heart of our communities. And most importantly, what was the exact rationale for objecting to those alternatives? Before any votes are cast and before any doors are locked, we deserve to see the whole picture. Our children, our history, and our future deserve nothing less than full transparency. Thank you for your time.
CJ, I can't read the last name. Oh, this is better.
I will keep this fairly brief, but just thought it would be remiss not to speak to the people that are tuning in live from our stream. There's about 370 people watching. That's all I wanted to add.
Mr. Rossi, didn't hear anything you said.
I didn't hear what you said before, that's all I wanted to say.
Oh, my apologies. I thought it would be remiss to not talk about the 370 people that are on live stream right now watching.
Ms. Lacy Vasquez.
Can y'all hear me? I'm a little vertically challenged. Gotta make some adjustments here and hope it doesn't fall out on the floor. I stand here tonight in solidarity with our neighbors in Port O'Connor. While this hearing is not about Seadrift, we have all been here before and can see the writing on the wall. To many, this seems like an easy solution to an ongoing problem regarding finances, but this decision runs much deeper than that. You are not discussing and voting to simply closing a campus, but rather affecting the education and well-being of several hundred children. The best learning environment for our children consists of emotional and psychological safety, well-designed physical and sensory space, and consistent, balanced routines. The proposed changes to both Port O'Connor and Seadrift check all of the above boxes. As a board, are you really okay with sacrificing our children this way? This vote will change lives, affect education, and touch every community in this district. But it will be Seadrift and Port O'Connor taking the direct hit. The economical impacts of this proposal will be felt in our towns for years to come. What is the hurry? Why the rush to a vote? A decision of this magnitude should not be pushed through in haste. Has every other possible deficit-reducing avenue been explored and presented? What sacrifices is the remainder of our district making? What cuts have been proposed to district office where some of the highest paid salaries are sitting? I urge you to listen to the voices of your constituents and send this back to the drawing board until you have more than one option to consider. Think of your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, brothers, and sisters when it's time to vote. Once something is gone, it's not coming back. And I think that sign up there is a very good representation. Educating our children is our responsibility that you all have to own. We're not a burden.
Chris Matt.
Thank you for having us tonight. First question I'm going to ask is the board, administrator, president as a whole. What are you thinking? Are you out of your mind? Do you realize Port O'Connor is a stronghold? Do you realize that elementary is a stronghold of education that cannot be compared to anything else this district has? I'm a grandfather. When I was just a dad before a grandfather, my kids went there. I watched the change. I've seen my granddaughters come through there. I have seen them come from another district that did not measure their education, did not measure their performance, did not measure their grades. They came here and they were miserable. I now have one on the honor roll in Seadrift. The other one's leaving the elementary where she failed in math and education and English. She has now excelled in all of it. You should not break the strongholds. You should make them stronger. I'm an educated man. I left high school with a GED. I got my degree later in life. But we're solution finders. I'm a business guy. I've been there for 30 years. I've seen the worst of the worst. We saw 9/11. We saw Obama take out the oil fields. We saw what happened during COVID. We were resilient through all of that. We had to find solutions for our families, for our community. We've been through every kind of hurricane there is. And the biggest threat is coming from within inside our community to take us out. I'm not trying to be a jerk or be toneful about this, but you've got to consider the impact of what you're doing. There's not another elementary that can bring the type of education that Port O'Connor can and see the results. When my kids left the high school over here, I asked my daughter to do something very specific. She couldn't do it. I sent all my kids to Silva's Learning Center with a 7th grade education when they walked out of Calhoun High School. The basis of education is the core at the elementary. Don't mess with it, embrace it, and let's find a way to solve it. We're solution finders. We're not just complaining. We're not just about numbers or budgets. We're about education. And believe it or not, you've got the gold egg right there in Calhoun County in Port O'Connor. I ask you to embrace it. not discard it. Please table this vote for further discussion that we have. Thank you.
Meeting, your roll.
My remarks are probably better suited for the general meeting, so I'll wait, if that's okay. I signed up for both. Or do I need to talk now? I don't know the rules. Oh, okay.
Mr. Robles?
Good evening. I want to speak tonight about why keeping Port O'Connor School open matters, not just for the students, but for the future of the entire community. Port O'Connor School is more than a building. It is the heart of a community that has supported generations of families. For many students, it is where they learn, grow, participate in activities, and build relationships with teachers who know them personally. The closed-in environment of a small school provides opportunities and support that cannot always be replicated elsewhere. When you discuss school closures, you must remember that these decisions affect real children and families. Closing Port O'Connor School will mean longer bus rides, less time at home with family, and a loss of a community-centered educational experience. For younger students especially, spending additional hours on a bus ride each day can have a significant impact on their well-being. Just participation in extracurricular activities and our overall academic success. You also need to consider the role that school plays in the community itself. Schools are often one of the first things families look at when deciding where to live. Removing the school from Port O'Connor could discourage new families from moving to the area and make it harder to retain those who are already there. The long-term impact on property values, local businesses, and community growth should not be ignored. I understand the financial challenges facing our district. Every board member has a responsibility to be a good steward of our taxpayers. However, before considering the closure of a neighborhood school, we should have clear and transparent evidence that such a decision will produce meaningful savings. To date, no bottom line cost savings have been presented that demonstrate how closing Port O'Connor School would significantly improve the district's financial position. Before asking a community to give up its school, the district should provide a detailed analysis showing exactly what costs would it be eliminated, what new costs would be incurred, and what the net financial impact would be. Without information, you are being asked to consider a permanent change without fully understanding its actual benefit. You should first exhaust every reasonable alternative. You should examine administrative efficiencies, operational savings, grants, partnerships, enrollment initiatives, facility utilization strategies, and other cost-saving measures that do not directly remove educational opportunities from students. This is not simply a budget decision. It is a discussion about what kind of district we want to be. Is the board willing to invest in all of our communities, even when doing so requires creativity and hard work, or do we reduce opportunities for students because the solution appears easier on paper? Port O'Connor families deserve to know that their children matter. They deserve to know that their community has a voice, and our students deserve every opportunity to succeed close to home in a school where they are known, supported, and valued. I believe you can address financial challenges while preserving the educational opportunities that make Port O'Connor special. Before any decision is made, I respectfully ask the board to postpone any action regarding the closure of Port O'Connor School until complete, timely, and transparent financial analysis is presented to the public and this board. The families, staff, taxpayers, and students deserve to see the actual bottom line impact before such a significant and permanent decision is considered. Thank you.
Mr. Sarah Brown.
Hi, my name is Sarah Brown. I don't have a whole lot to go off of because I don't have a full sheet wrote out like most, but me and my husband, Michael, we ranch cattle between Port O'Connor and Seadrift, so we're between both school districts, and I've got a little 6-year-old son, and I've got a 3-year-old that's about to start school this coming year. And I just wanted to show the importance on what these little schools mean to this community, like everybody else has said. And I don't think there's not much I can say today that nobody else has already said to begin with. But I do know that this community was blindsided by this, and as fast as this has come to vote, I do believe that we deserve a little bit more time to put more information on the table, a little bit more transparency to know what exactly is being done before this drastic decision is to be made to close down the Port O'Connor School. My son, I know, had the idea to come up here and speak himself. I wasn't sure if it was allowed or not, so he's sitting over there on the sidelines. But I do know, like everybody else's kids that go to Port O'Connor School itself, how much these little classes mean to these kids. They've been going to school with these same children year after year after year, the same kids over and over again. And stripping these kids from such a small, tight-knit school to get thrown into Port Lavaca and H.J.M. and Travis to be thrown around and jumbled is a lot for these kids to take in, different than the children that go to Port Lavaca. Another impact I know that everybody else has made clear is the transportation on how early these kids are going to have to wake up to go to school and get home. I know, like for us, like a lot of other people here, there's lots of things for these kids to do when they get off the bus. It's not just come home and do homework. We ranch cattle. There's lots of other business owners here that their kids, when they come home from school, they help. They take care of businesses. Our kids are expected to do chores when they get home. And by the time that they get home, they're expected to do homework, take showers, and go to bed. It's a lot. And waking up early, going to school every morning, the push for these kids to want to do is good academically. I don't think are going to be as strong as what you're seeing in Port O'Connor right now. I do know that Port O'Connor School has been around forever. It is the anchor of the community. And I feel like stripping that is going to affect Port O'Connor itself, not just the families, but the economic impact for the community. Lots of out-of-towners have been moving into Port O'Connor, and I feel like our locals are being pushed further and further down into the dirt. Taxes are going up. People can't afford to live there anymore. And the only thing right now that is keeping our locals there is this school. And am I done?
Thank you.
I would like to remind everyone that is watching right now that comments will remain after the video, so if you have any questions, please be sure to leave them in the chat.
He's not a public speaker.
Marie Scala.
Considering closing this beloved school rips the same opportunities that we had away from my grandchildren, Bennett, Wyatt, and Olivia, who were planning to attend Port O'Connor Elementary. I did put a packet together. You guys should have received a brief summary of my findings. I've spent countless hours along with my sister going through and digging through district budget audits, payroll records, enrollment data, tax records, financial reports, anything that I can find that was publicly available, so I can try to make sense of this and just how this process was working. But I did learn that this discussion is bigger than one school. It's not just Port O'Connor is the problem or Seadrift is the problem. It's way bigger. The financial challenges are real. I did find declining enrollment and declining fund balances, and even down from previous years, significant recapture payments. District enrollment has decreased about 251 students between 2021 and 2024 school years. And even though I agree that a decline of 1,000 students over 10 years does sound better for your agenda, so keep pushing the number. What really was the most astonishing thing, and what really got me digging, was at the same time that all this was happening, payroll expenditures increased by more than $5 million between 2021 and 2025. But employee counts remained relatively stable. I also found significant compensation increases in certain administrative and support positions, leaving teachers out, including reported increases of approximately 192% that the registrar position has received since 2020. 139% increase for one business and clerical support person, and more than 110% for one business service professional, both since 2023. What are they put in my application. I'm almost done. The question is not whether the challenges do exist. I get it. And if it should not remain, if the school should close or not close, we get it. We feel like it absolutely should stay open. But the questions are, how did we get here? What alternatives were considered? What is the long-term plan? What are you planning to do with the school once it's closed? I mean, it's pretty prime, I think. Truly, what analysis was used to determine that closing the school became the preferred solution, and what alternatives were considered? I understand you're talking about it. You're looking at a 10-year. We're looking at what happens now and in the future. So before this decision with permanent consequences are made, I believe the community deserves to see transparency in all of where your recommendations come from. I couldn't find it. And I dug and dug and dug. If I'm done, I'm done.
I have a motion by Mr. Marson to adjourn this portion of the meeting. And a second by Mr. Batts. We're going to take a 10-minute recess before we convene with our next one. Thank you.
We will be taking a 10-minute break until the rest of the meeting proper begins. Make sure you like the stream and you share it on your Facebook as well as on other social media. You can also tag people to the Port Lavaca Wave with hashtag Port Lavaca Wave. We will be filming the rest of it for replay. And if you have any further comments, make sure you leave them in the comment section below. That way we can have them preserved later on. We will leave the stream up. Make sure y'all share it in the meantime, and it will begin again shortly.
We'll start at 3 minutes. 3 minutes. I'm sorry, we'll get started in about 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
At about 1 minute, we're going to start.
Hello everyone, we are back. The next section of the meeting will begin shortly. Make sure you share the link, give some heads up to people. Let everyone know that we're starting up again.
Board of Trustees of Calhoun County Independent School District, held on Monday, June 15, 2026, beginning at 6:55 in the H.J.M. cafeteria, 25 North Commerce Street, Lavaca, Texas. We do have everyone present, we have a quorum. I'd like to invite you to stand for our invocation and the pledges to the flag.
Father God, we just thank you for your many blessings, Lord. We just thank you for the rain you've given us. We thank you for the men and women in this room and what they mean to their families and their communities, Lord. We just lift this board up to you right now, Lord, as we address the items on the agenda. Lord, give us wisdom and guidance and let us make the best decisions possible, Lord. We will lift up our first responders and our military, Lord, provide them with safety and bring them back home to their families, Lord. All that we say and do, we bring honor and glory to you. In your name, amen.
Amen.
Pledges. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the
Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Again, we're to the point for public comments. So as I call your name out, please come to the microphone. Mr. Steve De La Cruz, I'm sorry. We're still on 3 minutes.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good evening, President Schrader and members of the board and Superintendent Carver, and also members of the committee. My name is Steve De La Cruz. I am a grandparent, committee member, taxpayer in this district. I am here to speak about the policy and practice surrounding the use of the police officer who serves as a canine handler on our campus. I want to be clear, my concern is not about any individual, but about ensuring the district's approach on canine use in our schools is consistency, transparent, aligned with the best practices for the students' and safety rights. Across Texas, the district are reviewing how canine searches are conducted, including where they occur, how students are informed, and how privacy is protected. The reviews are not about limiting safety measures, but about making them applied fairly, legally, and in ways that foster trust between students, family, and law enforcement. I respectfully request that our district consider a public review of its canine policy, including care guidelines when canine searches are initiated, communication protocol with parents and students, training standards for both the handler and school staff. By proactively reviewing these policies, we can strengthen safety while ensuring our practices reflect the values of our community, addressing concerns of implementation of challenges. While the benefits of this canine team in school are clear, there are concerns and challenges that must be addressed to ensure successful. I respectfully want to ask or say to our school district, need a canine team. Did our district need a canine team while we were in a deficit when it was approved back in November 2025? I'm a community member, a taxpayer, and a previous canine handler here in Calhoun County. I've waited about 6 months on the status of our canine team in our district. I know the canine was purchased with a grant, which we were given $13,500. For how long will that grant last until the school district starts to pay for the canine and the handler stipend? Does our canine handler live in Calhoun County or within our city limits? If not, how is our canine being transported to and from work? Will or is the grant covering the cost of fuel being used to transport this canine home if the handler does not live in Calhoun County? What is the canine certified in? Narcotic protection, firearms, explosives, and or tracking? Are both the canine and handler together on a daily basis? Are there times that the canine is left at home instead of bringing to work?
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Please let us know if there's any issues with the audio or video stream. We are now under the public comment section of the next section of the meeting.
Every day I work alongside educators who go above and beyond to ensure children feel supported, challenged, and cared for. I understand that budgeting requires difficult choices. However, I want to share what those decisions look like from a classroom perspective. I teach 5th grade at the largest, also an A-rated elementary campus in our district and the second largest campus overall. Our attendance is outstanding. My 5th grade team is responsible for educating more than half of the district's 5th graders. Because of that, I see every day how staffing, class size, and campus resources directly impact student learning. This past year, my class size was 22. I can only imagine the positive impact even smaller class sizes could have on student achievement. In our hallway, there is an empty classroom. If consolidation allows us to add another teacher to that space, it could create opportunities for smaller classes, more individualized instruction, stronger relationships with students, and more targeted support in reading and
When campuses are thoughtfully reorganized, we have opportunities to provide more consistent class sizes, additional support, and enriched programs that benefit all students. At the elementary level, foundational skills require small group instruction, intervention time, and consistent feedback. Careful planning can help us maintain these supports while maximizing resources across campuses. I understand the concerns about longer bus rides and the loss of a neighborhood school. Those concerns are real and deserve thoughtful consideration. But I also believe there is an opportunity to strengthen our district by bringing resources, staff, and students together in a way that expands opportunities for all children. Elementary schools are more than buildings. They are communities. By combining resources thoughtfully, we can create learning environments where students continue to feel known, supported, and connected, while also gaining access to programs and opportunities that may not have been possible otherwise.
Thank you. Brady Brisky, you spoke at the first one. You want to speak again? Okay.
You said no.
No. Kimberly Brooks, you spoke before. You want to speak again? Okay. Yes.
I'd like to thank the trustees for giving us the time to share our thoughts and feelings. I am here to show my support for Seadrift School. My name is Kimberly Brooks. I stand before you as a newer member of the Seadrift community, a taxpayer, a business owner, and most importantly, a parent. We've been in Seadrift for about a year and a half, drawn to the prospect of becoming part of this eclectic community. Not only am I a newcomer to Seadrift, but I was just recently elected as the PTA president at Seadrift School at the end of this last academic year. I'm here to support all the children and students in our community and counties. Seadrift School has been an incredible experience for my pre-K child. She's excelled academically, made friends, and discovered her voice. Quite gladly, I should say. This school's structure and environment resonate deeply with my upbringing, which is not always easy to find. The fact that our children make lifelong friendships over their 10 years in the same school with the same kids. It's rare to find a school where every teacher knows every child and every staff member is familiar with their family. They care deeply for their students and invest not only their knowledge but their hearts. You're threatening to dismantle this very community by tearing it apart. You're taking our students, our children, away from their families, friends, and very community they've grown up in and are comfortable and safe in. Imagine if these were your children. Imagine them being uprooted from 8 years of a supportive community and thrust into an unfamiliar and unwanted situation. How would you think your children would react? How do you think you would react? Thank you.
Thank you. Samantha Morales. You want to speak again?
Yes, sir. That's okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the issues I've been hearing is about consolidating the schools. Why can't we consolidate Hope into Calhoun? My senior year, I was on the verge of dropping out for Family Matters. I was at a different high school, but they offered that at the high school. That was a class of, my graduating class was 900 students. And they offered that at that school. I don't understand why we couldn't do that, because I don't think they're getting enrollment either, if I'm not mistaken. And also, we redistrict or kind of move the lines a little bit, maybe some kids who are Travis could come to Seadrift. Then we can spread it out a little bit more without having those schools. Or a school that has a tight-knit community. We do everything for each other. Anytime there's a disaster, everybody pulls through. Schools are usually your hub to go to. You are going to take that away from Port O'Connor as well. I don't think it's right. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to any of our kids. I moved here back home because of that. I didn't want to move where my husband's family's from. They're from Baytown. I don't want my kids raised there. I want them raised here at home where I felt like Seadrift or Calhoun County, mostly Seadrift and Port O'Connor, would still give them that childhood that I had. They get to experience small town. Everybody's watching everybody. Everybody knows everybody. And that's what I love about our children being made in the schools that they're in. Given the fact that my son's going into 8th grade, and he has IEPs, which are an IEP, and I feel like that's going to
vote is currently scheduled for the end of the meeting.
Surroundings. What does that mean for those children? Thank you.
Ms. Hayes, opinion, did you want to speak here?
My name is Haley Pitty, and I'm a lifelong Seadrift community member, taxpayer, parent, and someone who has personally seen our small town schools can do for students. I've watched firsthand how close-knit our environments can change the trajectory of a child's education in the future with our small town. That is why it is difficult to understand why Seadrift and Port O'Connor schools are being discussed for consolidation while other alternatives appear to be off the table. One question I believe taxpayers deserve an answer to this: if the goal is to truly reduce costs and improve efficiency, why are only certain campuses being considered? We are repeatedly told that Calhoun County is a financially strong county. Our taxpayers have contributed millions of dollars over the years, and our community has even helped fund construction of schools outside of our own immediate community. Hence, Victoria, we built both of their schools for them, basically. Yet now we're being told that the solution to the budget concerns is to remove educational opportunities from Seadrift and Port O'Connor students. If consolidation is truly about finances, then why has Hope High School not been publicly considered as part of that discussion? Why there has not been a transparent comparison showing the potential savings of consolidating Hope High School into Calhoun High School versus eliminating programs and campuses that serve Seadrift and Port O'Connor students, which are our smaller generation to be impacted. I am not suggesting that Hope High School should be closed. I am asking for consistency. If every option is truly being evaluated, then taxpayers deserve to see all options evaluated equally. If some schools are being asked to justify their existence while others are not, then the community deserves to know why. Our students should not bear the burden of longer bus rides, reduced extracurricular opportunities, and the loss of their community schools without clear evidence that every alternative has been examined thoroughly first. As taxpayers, parents, and community members, we deserve transparency, and we deserve to see the data. We deserve to understand why schools are being targeted for consolidation and while others are not. Most importantly, our children deserve decisions that are based on what's best for them as students, not simply as what is easiest to cut out. Thank you.
Tracy Dawson. We're speaking again.
Back to the microphone adjustments. All right, this one we're winging. I didn't write a speech for it, but first and foremost, I want to say that this is no way a jab at the other districts, at the other schools in our district. I think they all have phenomenal teachers. I think they're all underpaid. I think all the classroom sizes are too big, and I get it. But Seadrift is a family. Port O'Connor is a family. And on nights like tonight, when something like this is coming up, Port O'Connor and Seadrift are the family. We've always been the black sheep of this district and seem to be the first ones having to face the budget cuts. Over the last 2 years, I couldn't tell you the number of teachers Seadrift has lost, and classroom sizes have been consolidated. We don't have 10 kids to a class like it was when my youngest started in pre-K or kinder. He had 20-something kids in his class this year alone in the 5th grade. Our classroom was wall-to-wall desks with very little wiggle room in between. Seadrift has some very seasoned, dedicated teachers that wear very many hats. They're not just math, they're not just 5th grade, they're not just athletics. Where is the savings in that? What is the point of busing my 7th or 8th grader to Travis if those teachers are still going to be on the campus? So we save a band director? We save a coach? Is that little bit of savings worth the kids if this is going to affect long term? You're talking crucial years of their life. 7th and 8th graders. Their bodies are making changes, mentally they're making changes, and now you're asking them to make another adjustment from where their home has always been. I really ask y'all to dig deep and think long and hard about the impacts these are going to have on our children. Is the cost savings actually worth the long-term effects?
with all the changes, if it does happen, right? Transportation is the biggest thing. No one in the history of my tenure here has been able to answer one simple question for me. I have an 8th grader, I have a 5th grader. I've called year and year and year after year to get a bus for my kid to be driven 4 miles to the school. Year after year, mind you, I've made that phone call, try to get some sort of direction, some sort of knowledge from certain entity. But each year I'm faced with the same thing. I don't know. I'll call you back. Never get that phone call. Follow up. Hey, what's going on? I don't know. I don't have that information. 4 miles, mind you. 5 minutes to get from 238 to Seadrift. I do it. What's stopping me from taking that drive, going to another district? Absolutely nothing. I can do it. Do I want to? No. Because as my spouse stated, my kid has been rooted deeply into Seadrift. Deeply. So far that he's fired every single individual at that school. If you know what I'm talking about. He's autistic. Change. Big change for me. As a parent, that's my biggest concern. How am I going to be able to communicate with him? I'm going to be the first one to tell y'all, I struggle. You know how hard it is to communicate with an autistic kid? How to learn their behaviors? What works? What doesn't? To have this happen? I'm going to have to redo this whole training, this whole process. It's going to be hard for everybody. Now, second question is, why, according to data, our support services and teacher numbers right there at the head? According to the numbers, I have 230-something teachers. You have 207 support individuals. Most of the budget is going to that support bill instead of the teachers, the educators. I'm all about getting the teachers money, but there's some questions that I have there. Lastly, I would highly, highly suggest stopping this vote, whatever future plans everybody have, until we either not provide the results from that audit, or, as stated in my comments earlier, what's stopping anybody from going anywhere else? I'm okay driving 35 minutes to Victoria. I'm okay with going to Oslo. I heard their school is pretty nice as well.
Okay, Candidate Yamani, you want to speak again?
I don't have a speech or a paper prepared for this one. I'd just like to add a little bit of context on what you heard before. And you all have copies of what I had to say earlier. It took a long time and a lot of help with some friends to condense what I wanted to say down to 3 minutes. So here, let me elaborate just a little bit. The shock of this sent a bunch of us into investigative mode immediately. We started researching, looking at every piece of public information we could. And I learned more about the independent school district than I ever cared to know, just out of fear of what you're going to do to my grandchildren and their children and my family and friends' children. And I know that this part is I signed up to speak about Port O'Connor and signed up to speak about Seadrift too, because this is also, here's a group of us that have all come together and found out we're family and friends. Let me tell you about some of the things that I learned. Number one, there is one person sitting at that table that makes a real nice salary because he has a very hard job. There are 7 other people up there that don't make anything for the job you do. Not only do you not make anything, you had to spend your own money to get elected. You had to put in your own time, and you come and do this. So first of all, I'd like to say thank you. One real simple website. It's called govsalaries.com, govsalaries.com. You can find out what everybody in the government makes down to the dollar. So we looked at all that first. But that's not the part that got me the most. The part that got me was when I looked at the tax appraisal district, because all that information is public too. And I'm not going to give you specific numbers. I have them. If you want down to the dollars and cents, I have them. But let's just think, Port Lavaca brings in, with their plant business, they have a taxable revenue for the dirt that they own, and you can't get no more dirt. For the dirt that they own, you collect about $500 million, in excess of $500 million from taxpayers. It goes into the calculation that determines what goes into your revenue budget. Seadrift, the number that I received, didn't actually even include the plants, but it was well over $111 million in just their dirt that you get taxed on, revenue off of. It goes into our county budget and goes into our ISD budget. Port O'Connor alone, over $800 million. Woo! And our POC ID director, see, I'm not sure if you know this as the board. So I know that you're given all the information by the superintendent and his administration, and you have access to these numbers too. I just want to make sure that you're very clear that these numbers in there is what generates into it. And Port O'Connor has changed overall. That's the reason for this. So if you take away our school, we already have, and we're at a disadvantage because we need affordable housing. How are we supposed to attract investors to come in and build affordable housing so that we can have labor force to support our businesses and thrive as a community? Same in Seadrift.
Christine Science.
Hi, my name is Christine Science, and I'm speaking tonight both as a teacher and a parent in CCISD. I want to begin by acknowledging the families of Port O'Connor. I see your passion, your fear, and your determination to protect your schools and your communities. But tonight I am asking you to consider what others have been sacrificing for years to preserve what you are fighting for. Tonight, I'm talking about our campus. The campuses being discussed serve approximately 55 students. Meanwhile, H.J.M, J.R, Travis serve approximately 2,127 students combined. That means nearly 94% of the students represented in this discussion attend Port Lavaca. Yet, we heard very little about the 94%. I am here tonight to speak on behalf of those students, because they deserve it and they matter. I struggled with the decision to speak tonight, but remaining silent would have been way easier for me. But the cost of silence has become too great. My children deserve equity, my students deserve equity, and every child in CCISD deserves that. For years, Port Lavaca campuses have absorbed larger enrollments, larger class sizes, and increasing demands while continuing to produce strong results. In fact, JR does produce academic excellence. We are recognized as an A+ campus, and we have the best attendance record out of all of the campuses. At Jackson Roosevelt, I consistently taught classes of 22 students, and our district has now signed a waiver for classes like mine to start serving 24 students. That's bringing our classroom from a ratio from 24 to 1, when some of the classes in our district are serving 4 to 1. Again, this is not fault of those students, teachers, or communities. In fact, I'm glad that your children have those opportunities and the individual instruction that they deserve. The question is why every child in CCISD does not have access to these same opportunities. Every teacher is expected to provide intervention, enrichment, individualized instruction, behavior support, parent communication, and every teacher, we love our students. We strive to provide academic and emotional support. We strive to meet all of those expectations. But there comes a point when we must acknowledge that the burden has not been shared equally. For years, our teachers have managed larger classrooms, greater workloads, and increasing demands, while continuing to serve nearly 94% of the students represented in this discussion. For years, our students have had limited resources, opportunities, and had to share those with the larger classmates. Despite those challenges, we have continued to succeed. We need help. Our students need help. At some point, fairness requires all of us to share both these benefits and responsibilities of educating all of the students in CCISD.
Thank you, Ms. Sines.
Thank you.
Mr. Madden? Chris Madden?
The only reason I wanted to speak the second half is I want to state the first half and make sure that the board and yourself understand the weightiness that's been put on your shoulders and your responsibility. This is not something because what I perceive as Calhoun County, Port O'Connor failing the community, not just the school so much as the community. The Port O'Connor itself is dying, it's failing. We have two of the greatest avenues in the world. We have the Intercoastal Canal and we have Highway 35. We need workers. Speaking from a business perspective, getting young men or young women to come into your business that can actually work and do the job and understand what's needed, even in a young person's career starting out, whether it's an intermediate job or something they truly want to do. We need more than minimum wage workers, somebody working for Subway or fried chicken place. We need people that can think with their feet. And it starts at the basic levels of education. The responsibility you have tonight, and I'm hoping for a consensus that this gets voted down or tabled until more input, more discussion, and solutions can be found. To be fair, sir, your presentation sounded like a capitulation. It sounded like you were throwing in the towel, telling us why it couldn't be done, instead of saying, this doesn't look good, but I think we have solutions or alternatives. That's not what I'm hearing from you. I'm hearing from everybody out here. What I'm asking is to take the weightiness of this meeting, table it or kill it, but do not pass it because you're doing yourselves a great disservice, not just the community. You have something great in front of you. I really hope you'll embrace it tonight. I want to thank you for the time tonight, but that's why I really want to speak the second time. So please, ladies and gentlemen, do your duty, do your fiduciary duty, but do your obligation to your communities, because we get stronger together, not by tearing them apart. Thank you very much.
Ms. Cindy Krause? Cindy Krause?
I'm Cindy Krause, and I'm from the other side of the bay. I made it all the way over here. We're from Olivia. We lost Point Comfort many years ago. I don't know that all of y'all were on the board at the time. One of the things that I've been looking for, I come to all board meetings, try to come to all of them. Sometimes I miss one or two. I was really surprised last week when this came up, and then all of a sudden it's on this meeting, and I was told that it seemed that the board wanted it to come to this meeting to be voted on. I didn't get that idea at the meeting, and I was there till they gavelled out. So maybe I just kind of missed things. One thing that concerns me, though, is that last year in July, I was also surprised that the board entertained for almost as long as we had the presentation last week, information on bonds. That we were up for a new bond, that we could go ahead and have a new bond come in. I'm not in favor of bonds, just so you know. I'll go ahead and give that disclaimer. But this bond followed by another one from Turner Ramirez Architects. It was for a $65 million multi-purpose facility that we were going to look at. That didn't come onto the agenda the next week. Another point that we had is we were entertaining a daycare for teacher students, which I understand we need good daycares. But then we also provide Point Comfort housing. We take houses from Formosa, they go off the tax rolls, and we provide those. I'm all for trying to get new people in. My church is right next to one of those Formosa houses, and it's not always well kept. Don't worry, I let them know. I support the community. And I really support sports, and I kind of think this is similar to the football program. There's a lot of people that complain about the football program, but man, it brings a lot of people together, it brings a lot of money to it. So that's what I was thinking, maybe the sports facility and stuff is that. But then it also seems that Port O'Connor is like the football program. It brings a lot of money to the district. It brings a lot to the district. It doesn't take a lot from the district, but it brings a lot in. So maybe we need to think about this. And I know you'll have a tough decision. And Mr. Trader, President Trader, I have known you for a long time. I know you don't take these things lightly. Superintendent Cardwell, you've always answered the questions I have. Board members, I ask you to have the responsibility and respect of each and every student, whether it's the 7% or it's the 94%. Do something for them. That information that came last week was very, very surprising, especially since the meeting was rescheduled and the packet hasn't come out. But even more was that there was only 1 week for you guys to come together. Now I'm asking you, board members, were you finding that, or are you going to receive the documents and look at all the projects these were coming from? Reach out to the families and community. Take time to pull community resources. Discover innovative ways for Calhoun to thrive rather than just survive. Thank you.
Ms. Albright, you want to speak again?
I do.
Okay.
First point I'd like to make tonight, and the second time around here, is one based on several advanced degrees and 37 years in the classroom and from university level down to junior high. I taught rhetoric, I taught analysis, I taught logic. And I told students to do your research and never make a proposal until you've done all of the background information and put it together and explained it to everybody in front of you. If this were a formative evaluation, as an instructor, I would suggest go back and work on this a little bit more. It's not quite ready for your subject. Please, for the sake of the entire district, and by the way, one final comment on Port O'Connor, we've talked about how small the classes are now. Well, once before in history, Port O'Connor had some small classes, and then Matagorda Highland Air Force Base moved in. And suddenly there were a lot of kiddos from all over the United States who had very different backgrounds and a lot of problems we had to work with. Guess what? They did well. Give us a chance. If those buses run out of Port O'Connor, they can run back into Port O'Connor.
Mr. Robles, you want to speak again? Hey, you all know? You want to speak again? First time, I'm sorry.
Good evening, members of the board. I need to say that I chose to give up my time during the hearing because I wanted to be respectful of the tone, momentum, and the time given to the Port O'Connor families. I felt that my remarks, while related, are more related to the general budgetary crisis. My remarks tonight are less about advocating for one outcome and more about asking us to think carefully about the larger budget realities facing our district and how the consequences of those decisions are distributed across students, teachers, and schools. I'm here to ask the board to prioritize maximizing the benefits for the most students while attempting to reduce the negative impacts as much as possible. My name is Haley Yarbrough, and I'm the mom of 3 boys. 2 of my children attend JR Elementary, and this is our family's first year in CCISD after making the decision to move our children from private school. I also come from a family of educators, so I grew up seeing firsthand the sacrifices teaching often requires. Late nights, personal expense, and carrying responsibility for children far beyond what a job description can capture. Before I say anything else, I want to acknowledge the staff, teachers, and administrators at our schools. I say this because in conversations like this one, it's often easy to focus on the negatives. We have a lot of good in our district. Despite all of the challenges we're facing, my children are thriving. JR is a school full of life. My boys have been welcomed, encouraged, and challenged, and our experience has affirmed our decision. And I And to the neighbors in Port O'Connor, I understand why this possibility feels incredibly painful. I imagine you feel the same about your school. Losing a neighborhood school is not a small thing, and these concerns have to be heard. I want to acknowledge that many people in this room are frustrated not only by the proposal itself, but by how quickly the conversation feels like it has unfolded. I do appreciate the Money Matters series, but I think it's clear that the public is asking for more communication and transparency. So to the board, I ask for that transparency, communication, and adequate time for families to understand the data and ask questions before decisions with long-term consequences are finalized. At the same time, I want to respectfully say this. We should be very careful not to mistake disagreement for dishonesty or difficult decisions for malicious intent. People can disagree strongly and still be acting in good faith. I believe that parents in this room care deeply about their children, and I believe the volunteer members of this board do too. But caring does not remove the responsibility to make difficult choices, nor does it preclude the responsibility to explain them clearly. If Port O'Connor Elementary is not closed, then I think we owe it to the families and teachers across the district to ask honestly, where will those cuts happen? I have heard discussion for months about a potential class size waiver, apparently it's happening, at JR, and I want to voice my very, very clear, strong opposition to that. My children's classes already have more than 20 students. I just saw a slide showing a class size in the same district with 4 students. I have often said after the birth of my second child that 2 is more than double 1. I think we can agree that 20 is more than double 10. Whatever the decision is, I beg of you to not continue to push the limits on our teachers and students.
Thank you, ma'am. Your time is up.
Increasing class sizes means less time per child, more grading. Teachers cannot always be asked to do more with less.
Ms. Sarah Brown, did you want to speak again?
Hello, my name's Sarah Brown, and I've got a son, Jasper. He goes to Seadrift School right now, and part of the reason why we wanted Jasper to go to Seadrift was because Seadrift carries on their middle school, and I didn't want him to go from one school to another school to another school. If I wanted to send Jasper to Port Lavaca, I would have, along with many other parents here. And if transportation is not that big of a deal as of what I've heard being said, I don't think it would be that hard. Somebody had said here earlier, the bus leaves Port O'Connor, the bus can come to Port O'Connor. Bring kids to the school, let's help fill it a little bit more, but give the children in Port O'Connor and Seadrift a chance to stay where they're at instead of uprooting them. Somebody, I'm speaking not only for me, but for several other families here that have come to me and asked me to voice my opinion on this, that pulling our kids from these schools doesn't mean we're coming to Port Lavaca. We have an opportunity to go to different school districts, and we have an opportunity to homeschool our children. So just when you uproot these children doesn't mean they're going to stay within the district and your enrollment goes up in the Port Lavaca.
Ms. Carey, is Lilac, you want to speak again?
Sure, I would really everybody's talking about a lot of the stuff and the personal things, and I think most things have been covered. I tried to dig into things in an analytical way, assessment, and going from there. So, of course, a lot of my thought process on this was the funds and money. I mean, we're in a deficit supposedly of like $800-something thousand. So I'm looking at those, the top 6 highest paid employees auction, do a lottery program. It's an amazing school. That's it. Thank you guys for your time.
Teddy Halls.
I'm not very good at public speaking. Been in Port O'Connor all my life. My daddy went to Port O'Connor School. I went there. God on there. I had 2 grandsons who graduated last one this year. Every so often, I have to take time on my schedule to come to these school boards to try to save the Port O'Connor School. I didn't speak in the first one. And we're going to do the same thing with Seadrift. Folks, it's not a says education. You need to educate the kids. All these extracurricular activities, football programs, all that. Do away with that if you don't have any money, which I know you're not. Somebody is not figuring out all the finances. I'm not a financial genius. But I have a successful business, okay? I was president of the Port O'Connor Municipal Utility Division for 22 years. They had no money when we started. They're doing great now. Look at your stuff. My daughter told me about this meeting 3 days ago. So I ain't had time to look at all the what's going on. I've done a pretty good job of it. Sounds like there's a whole lot of money out there that's not being used where it should be. It sounds like there's some being wasted. I think we ought to put this on hold for a little while, check everything out, make sure everything's above board, okay? Do the job that you was elected to do. I've been elected to do the job a number of times. It ain't easy, I know that. And it takes a lot of extra time to do it on your own. And I ask you to do that. Okay? Because this is a very important thing to a whole lot of people in a lot of communities. The effect that this will have, if you really stop and figure it out, one of the most things that really just gets me, I love kids. Okay? Unfortunately, I only had one. But I think about these kindergarten, 5th grade, getting up and riding a bus. I come over here in the 9th grade. I hated buses, still hate buses. Okay? The trauma that it's going to have on them little kids, and the trauma it's going to have on the parents, is not worth money. You can't buy that, folks. Pay attention to what your job is, educating the kids and the safety of them kids.
Thank you, Mr. Halls. Appreciate it. Again, Matt, more speaking again, ma'am. Miss Matt.
Am I allowed to give my minutes to someone else, or? That's okay. I'll go ahead. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everybody for talking. I just want to reiterate what everybody said.
microphone. Is that better? I'm not quite as loud as I thought I was. I asked the question, when I told them the amount that it's going to cost us for our audit, it's $41,500 without the hourly rate. And so I just asked for what we paid last year, and it was considerably less. But she said there's a lot more work with the new legislation and new regulations that she's got to do as well.
They're on the consent agenda.
Again, the motion for the consent agenda item approval is on page 4.
Currently, this is the consent agenda section of the meeting.
Item B.
They are discussing item B, consider approve auditor agreement for 2025 to 2026 external fiscal audit.
Motion by Mr. Rossi to approve the consent agenda items except for item B. Second by Mr. Batts. All in favor, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Consent agenda was approved with no opposing votes.
Okay, now to the regular agenda, item 6B, consider and approve the auditor agreement for the 25-26 external fiscal audit.
They are now moving on to the regular agenda of the meeting.
And the motion by Mr. Matthew, second by Mr. Williams to approve the auditor agreement for the 25-26. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Same sign. Motion carries. Now down to the regular agenda. Ms. Martinez of the April 26th financial statement.
Evan Cardwell is taking a microphone. Superintendent. They will be going over their April 2026 financial statement.
Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
On page 23, you'll see the financial report for as of April. And the most significant thing is the revenue realized as of April is $42,523,689. But all funds combined, including all the federal funds, we realized $52,612,755 as of the end of April. And then on the second page, that's our expenditure page. The 199, that's our maintenance and operations. The expenditures are $25,817,999. In total with all funds, including federal funds, capital projects, and interest and sinking, is $39,536,360. Further questions?
That is what is budgeted, but we also have interest income and stuff that is not budgeted in there as expenditures.
Recommendation is on page 22.
I move to approve the April 2026 financial statements as presented.
A motion by Mr. Batts.
They currently have one microphone up at the table right now.
Anybody second it?
Yes, a second by Mr. McAfee. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And Ms. Martinez, you still up on the water? Consider and approve the agreement for purchase of attendance credit.
What this is a required, agreement with TDA that is, we have to, it's called forgiveness product. And what it is when we over collect in taxes, we only have a certain amount of money that we can keep as a school district based on our enrollment and our average daily attendance. And this is an agreement we have with TDA to send any remaining funds that are over and above or allotted to keep to TDA. And this is just an agreement for the superintendent to go ahead and sign on the board, on the districts we have to enter into this agreement with TDA. And it's a required, agreement.
I'm gonna see about bringing y'all closer to the table.
A motion for the water is on page 25.
I move for the 2026-2027 school year, we delegate contractual authority to obligated school district under Texas Education Code 11.1511C4 to the superintendent solely for the purpose of obligating the district under TEC Section 48.257 and TEC Chapter 49, Subchapter J and D, and the rules adopted by the Commissioner of Education as authorized under TEC 49.006. This included approval of the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit or the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit netting Chapter 48 funding.
A motion by Mr. Rossick. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Batts. Any discussion on water? All in favor? Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is consider and approve revisions to the board operating procedures.
Mr. President, I'm going to ask that we postpone this to the next meeting. I have not had time to review all of this since the last week's meeting, and I'd like a little time to do that.
I have a motion by
They are asking to postpone revisions to board operating procedures.
meeting. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Rossick. All in favor of postponing this to the next meeting? Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is to consider and approve revisions to policy DC local employee practices. Mr. Carver, you want to comment on
Sure, we have 14 vacancies currently, could be more after today, but still kind of illuminating the district, and this will give me the opportunity to get those teachers a secure contract between the June and July meeting dates. And so all those that will be put forward at the July meeting date. And so I'm just requesting that the DC local be amended to allow that decision.
Motion for the approval is on page 36 for local policy DC as presented.
We will be able to have the video posted online, Rachel, if you would like to rewatch it.
I have a motion by Mr. McAfee. I have a second. Mr. Phillips.
Now I can see.
Open for discussion.
Facing our budget deficit right now, I feel like the board should have input on what we could control with our current overstaffing that we have, and we need to look at the new positions. I apologize. I said with our current budget issues that we are having, I would like for the board to continue to be able to oversee and see those proposals before we hire, and then we can't unhire after we hire.
Ms. Albert, you put that in the form of a motion. On the floor. Any other discussion, comments?
Yeah, so my only issue with this when we took it out, I know it was, and one reason, one thing that it does benefit us as a school district to have this in place for these couple months is we want to hire the best teachers possible. And when we make offers to these teachers and they have to wait for the next board meeting, well, it's summertime, they're looking for jobs, they have other offers, they're going to take another offer because they don't want to have to wait for the board to approve us. What scares me is we're going to lose some of these really good teachers that we're competing for during the summertime because they're not going to wait 3 weeks for the next board meeting when they have another offer that they're going to take. And we're going to lose good teachers. That's my only concern.
Last year, Mr. McAfee, when we had board recs, we would hold special meetings to visit that on the agenda, short meetings, but at least we could come together and we could discuss it and decide yes or no.
And that's fine, once we're gonna show up and create a forum and get it done, so we don't take this issue.
I can talk about it. I said, that's fine as long as we can come together and create a quorum and get that done when necessary.
Any other discussion? Okay, I need that in the form. Okay, the motion on the floor is to move to approve the revisions to policy DC. A motion by Mr. McAfee and a second by Mr. Phillips. All those in favor of that? Got 3. See your hands again, I couldn't see.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 in favor.
All opposed?
3 opposed.
Okay, the motion
Yes, the
carries.
gentleman in the dress code is the superintendent.
Next on the agenda, we got our budget workshop. Ms. Martinez.
Next up is the 2026-2027 budget workshop, item E on the agenda. They're bringing up the live screen right now. For reference, by the way, item G is the consider approve resolution of Board of Trustees and transition plan to consolidate closed Port O'Connor Elementary School, and item H is discuss and consider consolidation of grades 7 and 8 from Seadrift School to Travis Middle School. And then there is an information item afterwards. 4 in favor, 3 opposed.
Request for a 5-minute recess. We will return in 5 minutes.
We will be entering a 5-minute recess. Just a moment.
We're going to take a quick break while we set up the presentation.
So they currently have one microphone. I just spoke with them. They're going to try and pass it around a little bit more. And they will be back shortly. Currently, they have voted on a April 2026 financial statement, the consent agenda. Here, I'll hold up the agenda thus far for y'all to take a look at. Sorry, apologies. So this has been the agenda of the meeting so far. The last item that was approved was the consider/approve revisions to policy DC local employment practices. Next up is going to be item E, 2026 to 2027 budget workshop. After that will be the resolution of the board to select an auditor to conduct an efficiency audit. Item G will be considered to approve the resolution of the Board of Trustees and transition plan to consolidate and close Port O'Connor Elementary School. And then item H will be discuss and consider consolidation of grades 7 through 8 from Seadrift School to Travis Middle School. So they are currently still a 2 agenda items away from taking the votes on the Seadrift School and Port O'Connor School. Following that will be a information item, the proposed schedule of board meetings for 2026 through 2027, where they'll discuss dates. And then number 9, the Lone Star Governance agenda items, which is a state program agenda. Then finally, they will have a closed meeting for item number 10, they will reconvene and then they will adjourn. So the votes have not yet taken place for Seadrift or Port O'Connor at the moment. But make sure you still are sharing the stream. We're going to keep it up. We're going to keep it going for y'all. Any links y'all share with anyone will still lead back to this video. And for those who aren't able to make it through the full video itself, I'm going to flip it around so y'all can see me as we talk. We will be videotaping the rest of this, and we'll be keeping this video on our Facebook for you to watch and save as well. Make sure y'all share it as much as you can, and we appreciate being here. And we're going to stick it out for you. Thanks. Oh, and yes, I did speak to them about the microphone issue as well. They only have one microphone, and they are currently passing it around. So, bear with us.
We'll be starting in about 2 minutes. About 1 minute. Okay, we're going to read at 8:08.
Okay, this is going to be the beginning of the budget workshops. Usually these budget workshops start at the end of July. So this is going to be a real quick kind of just overview of what you guys are going to be seeing in the future, because a lot of the information I'm needing to budget for the 26
Here's the speaker.
27 year isn't available to the school district until after our appraisal values come in July 25th. So I'm just kind of going to do an overview of what you guys, I know we have some new members, so I wanted you guys to be familiar about how this starts and kind of what you're going to be looking at. This notebook that you have in front of you, it's going to be, I'm going to give you guys hard copies so you can look at it and make notes as we go for the next several workshop meetings. And also in the back of the book, I went ahead and included the other presentations that we've given to the public and the board, just so you have those in the back of your book to reference.
If you have any questions, please let me know. So on this is going to be the budget workshop as of June 15th. This first page, this is kind of a budget summary. This is kind of some of the main things that we had some changes to. Revenue considerations for the 25-26 year. When we first budget for revenue in a year, it's budgeted off of your ending numbers the previous year. So our enrollment, we start with the budget numbers of our enrollment of the previous year. That enrollment has changed significantly. We've lost around 100 students. So our revenue has declined from what was previously budgeted in 25-26. That was one impact to our budget. So we only can budget off of what we have available through history and also through estimating on available information. Our Chapter 313 payments came in. They were a little bit higher than what was intended. Our 313 payments are based off of partly off of appraised values, and we don't get those later in the year, so we're budgeting on the information we have at the time. Our expense considerations, the state mandated the raises that we had to give, the 4 and the 8,000. It did not cover everything. It didn't cover the benefits for those raises and also any other staff. So we had to come up with a little bit of that money, which we all, were aware of. The state did fund part of that, but not all of that. Also, our property insurance premiums, they did go down this year. So that's something that was on the positive side of the expenditures. So we budgeted a little more in expenditures on property premiums than what it came in. So we saved some money there. Chapter 49 recapture, when we first budgeted with members, TEA is budgeting also, and they're budgeting off of our last year's enrollment numbers and our tax base that's supposed to come in. With maximum compressed tax rates, we brought in less tax revenue. And also we were anticipating higher enrollment and attendance. So at that point, we did not have any recapture. We still are a recapture district, but when we passed our budget August 31st, or August, I think it was 28th, we did not have recapture payment. As of now, we did do an amendment of $100,000 that has gone up since. We also had a settle up from 22-23 school year. TEA just came down and got final numbers from 22-23. They gave us $85,000, and now they're taking $65,000 of that back, which I had to make a recapture payment back to them for $65,000. Our recapture now is showing that we owe about $170,000, which is, well, it's about $150,000, but it's increasing daily as our enrollment and our PEEMS numbers, which PEEMS is our attendance records and stuff being sent into the state. So as they finalize all our weighted from our programs, from our SPED, from stuff like that, plus our enrollment, plus our attendance, they're going to fluctuate those numbers probably into the middle of next year. So as of right now, we owe about $150,000 in recapture.
That's in addition to the 65.
Yes. Yes. Okay, your next page. Okay, this is kind of a report of as of right now, and this is all estimated numbers because I have to estimate the payroll through the end of August. So right now, if you look, the board adopted on August 29th, $47,536,164 in expenditures. Since then, the board has approved amendments to the budget, which is adding to our budget our original amount, which has to come to the board. Whenever you add something to your original amount, it comes to the board to adjust that. The adjustments were an additional $543,485, which increased our budget to $48,079,649. The revenue, the adopted budget on 8/29 was $43,592,294, which there has not been any amendments to the revenue. Usually the revenue doesn't get amended unless there's a significant amount, but most of that comes with your final budget amendment at the end of the year.
I apologize, it's a little too
So
far
right
out to get a good
now, with
image on
amendments
it.
and everything, with your expenditure budget, we're budgeted at a deficit $4.4 million. That's what our budgeted amendment is. After you do your estimated expenditures, and payroll's our biggest cost, so that's really the only expenditure I can estimate, except for because we still have maintenance stuff going on, and a little few things, we have summer school going on and stuff like that. So there's still expenditures other than payroll going on, but not significant at this point. So right now, at the current estimate, our deficit's gonna come in at $3.9 million. So we're still better than what's budgeted. And this is the adopted budget with amendments, of course. It's $4.4 million deficit. Recapture expenses with current student numbers and tax collection that is estimated $200,000, which is under the budgeted amount, and of course the $65,000 that they recaptured from 23-24 school year. This year we collected more than budgeted in 313, like I mentioned. It's about $700,000 in surplus from a 313 than what budgeted. And then our enrollment, like I said, started out at, we budgeted for 3,430 kids. That's what was the original budget revenue from enrollment. And then right now, as of the last day, we're down 128 students. So that, once again, threw us back into recapture, from the zero amount to recapture back into recapture now. Okay, your next page. Any questions so far? On that? Okay. Next page. This is an example of the summary of finance that TEA produces. We also do an estimated summary of finance on our end. It kind of looks similar to this. Where we
I would show y'all the image on the screen, but it's too far away for me to get a good image of.
That we're sending to them, but we also do a summary of finance that shows current to date numbers. Like we have the most current numbers. TEA is there's a lag with TEA and summary of finance. So this is where a lot of our numbers are coming from. As you can see, you notice there's a refined average daily attendance. We only get paid on the attendance. So it's not, we don't get the basic allotment on every single student. It's the percent of attendance of that basic allotment, if that makes sense. So this is, I just wanted you guys to be familiar with the summary of finance report. This is where a lot of our funding gets funneled through. On the second page of the summary of finance, you can see where you have your special programs. They're called weighted allotments. So on the very top, you can see that's your basic allotment. So we get around $15 million for our students' basic allotment, and that's considered not your 100%. That's off of your attendance. And then you come down, we get a little bit of money because we're a small to mid-sized district. Then we get, there's a weight, which is weight is, if you have one student, it's worth one. A weighted student in SPED, it might be worth, you know, depending on what kind of services they get, it might be worth 1.5 students for that one student because they're in a different service, because that's what it costs to educate that child. So we have the special ed allotment and down, you know, dyslexic, state comp ed, it's actually, it's still there, but it's not going to be the 55% that we have to spend there. We have bilingual, these are all weights that they consider. CTE, because it costs more to educate those programs. So that's why we have weights. And I just wanted to give you this, that's just kind of where we're at right now in the current 25-26. And this is where I estimate our numbers from. We run this constantly throughout the year, and also this is what I base off our new 26-27 budget with any information I get in, like if there's a change in a significant change in like our tax revenue or anything, that's taken into account. And then the last page, of course, is where you can see we've already fell into the recapture. And on the very, very bottom of this page, you can see we're estimated to pay $152,831 in recapture. But that is not the end of it. They're still getting our PEEMS numbers, and they're still doing final assessments. Okay. Huh? Yes, not by too much, because right now TEA has changed the formula, so where they're doing updating numbers, usually into the middle of the next year, we'll get, like you can see, 23, 24, we've already had VBATs. So yeah, that's where we're sitting right now. I'll know more towards the end of the year because we'll have final numbers. But I anticipate, yeah, that's gonna probably go up a little bit. And this next page, this is something that I know it's really hard to see on the screen, I'm so sorry. But this is what you guys see every year when we start to budget. This shows the campus budgets that go in. We gave the campus, it's called site-based budgeting. Each campus and department gets their own budget. We did not change anything this page. We did not change anything from campus budget. So they're gonna budget what they had the previous year. Now to the far, where it says explanation and differences, that's where any adjustments as this process keeps on going through. I'll make adjustments and make explanations and explain to you guys why the budget is currently changing. If you can see, there's not very many changes. You can see dyslexia, it came out of curriculum and went into SPED because TPA changed that to where SPED is responsible for dyslexia instead of just regular. LSG, you can see school board, that budget went down because LSG is going to be no longer. And then also the bus software, last year you guys increased the budget for the transportation department to buy some routing software. They don't, they've already purchased the software, now they're just going to have to keep up with it. So that decreased that. The increase in the K-9 budget, that was something we did an amendment for last year during the year. If we continue on with the K-9, then they're going to have a budget there. And then the biggest significant change was special programs, because we're going to have a residential placement on a student that's going to have to go to state school, and that's going to cost the district about $200,000. And SPED numbers have increased, so I anticipate that budget increasing even more than that. Also, with salaries, right now we're budgeting the same with salaries, except for one increase to that is teacher incentive allotment. We budgeted $800,000 last year. This year alone, which I'm going to have to do an amendment for, we're going to pay out, to the cost of the district, not all that we're paying out, is $1.1 million. So that's good and bad. We do get funding returned to the district for that, but we still have to show it as an expenditure. Now the big difference on this, you're not going to see a revenue page, so we don't know our deficit at all at this point, because I have no revenue numbers until I get our tax base August 25th. So this is going to be something that's continuously changing until we pass the budget. The second page, this one is something that the board requested. This is cutting every budget that we can possibly cut, 10%, up to 10%. Some of them, we can't. What we did is we analyzed where budgets were coming in at on the campuses and what they had left in their budgets and what they could possibly do without. So we started with 10% cuts across the budget. Some of the programs and departments could not be cut, like special programs. We're increasing their budget, so it makes no sense to decrease their budgeting. So we went down and decreased up to 10%. We analyzed there is increasing costs, increase in renewables.
Sally, that is the reactions from other people to the video.
Taught on Chromebooks, and all those programs and stuff are increasing this year. So we're taking that into account. So some of this might change once I start getting in those quotes and what's going to happen the next year. So this is basically, if you can see on the first page, I'm sorry, I'm going to flip that. Right now, the change is from last year's expenditures. The change is $498,000 increase from the previous year's expenditures budgeted. But most of that is the TIA increase in SPED. Now, if we cut the budget by 10%, where we can, the increase is going to be $266,000 from the previous year. Once again, TIA and SPED is taking the majority of that increase. Do I have any questions so far? Okay, this next page, this is the informational item. I let you guys know this because when you start considering salaries and stuff for the preceding year, and I know in the past the board likes to see, you know, what's going to impact our employees. This is one of the impact to our employees. The employee insurance premiums have increased. The district will still match, as of right now, the $355 per employee. We pay that. But their increases, if you see that middle of the, there's 3 different categories. They can pick 3 different insurance coverages. And right there in the middle, you can see the increase for employee only on the very first active care primary. It's going to increase $37 per month per employee. And then so on, $47, $37 again. All the way up to, if you have employee with family, it's going to increase $126, $149 for the premium plus, and $126 for the active care HD. And that's going to be monthly for the employees. That's how much they're going to increase their insurance premiums. And then this next page, this is just budget factors that I would like. You've seen this before in other slide presentations. Just as something to keep in the back of your mind, things that we can control. Our staffing levels, compensation levels, campus department budgets, which you can see there we can decrease, increase, however, you know, we see that's possible for us to run schools. And then our property tax rates and bonds, that's, you know, the rates is really TEA. They're going to do your compressed tax rate, plus we can increase it, plus, you know, our bonds, we can go up and down, depending on what our tax base is and how much money we need to pay our interest payments. And then special allotments and grants. We can always apply for grants and special allotments and reach out to the community for input to the plants or wherever to increase our revenue. And the factors we cannot control is enrollment and attendance. We can work at attendance, but we can't necessarily control it. We can do our best to incentivize and stuff like that to get these kids to school, because the more they're attending, the better education they get, and the more money the school gets to keep. Also, school funding, that's out of our control. TEA says that, the legislative session says that. Inflation, we all see what inflation has done to our grocery bills. And then insurance premium, you know, this year was a positive to us. Property insurance, but then the medical premiums have gone up. So it's not just affecting the school district, but our employees. Recapture, we cannot control. That's mandated by the state. And then our tax values are what we get from the comptrollers. And our next budget workshop is scheduled for July 20th. And you'll see pretty much the same thing, because I'm, once again, not going to have any of the revenue available because we will not have our tax base yet. That's going to be on July 25th. We'll get those numbers, and then I'll present after that what the revenue's looking like and what our deficit is.
The next budget workshop is scheduled for July 20th, 2026.
This is the first budget workshop, so required by law, we have to have it available. It's also available on the website. If you go to the website to the public, on the very top it says budget information. You click that, all these presentations in our budget
There's a question regarding the availability of the budget items or the sheets that were posted tonight.
And then this impact
They will be available
is
online.
a little bit inaccurate because we don't have our tax rate as of yet, so we use last year's tax rate. But we get these numbers from the comptroller's office, and they look at the median household minus your exemptions, and that's how much the increase from one year to the next with your tax base, how much increase in taxes that you'll pay. And that will be updated once I get our tax statement from the appraisal district.
Item 7G is consider to approve resolution of the board to select an auditor to conduct the efficiency audit. That's you also, right?
The gentleman right now is Bill Schrader.
I'm sorry? Mo Casey was they're the ones that normally run those for the majority of school districts in the state. And they were the cheap, I did research a little bit, they were our cheapest option, but the most qualified.
The blonde woman is Robin Martinez, Financial Chief Advisor for the district.
Would you like me to research it all? But we have a time restraint on hiring somebody. We have to do it actually by this board meeting to get an efficiency audit order. An efficiency audit, are you guys familiar with what that will entail? The efficiency audit, what they do is they go look and see how efficient our district is running. They look at our accountability numbers, they look at our academics, they look at our finances, they look at our audits, they look at how well schools are efficient and how they're being ran and how much money are being spent at each school district and what the district can do. They're not going to necessarily tell us what we can do, they're just going to give a report on how efficient all our programs are running.
Any other questions on? Seven F. The recommendation is on page 39.
And I add one more thing, if we do approve this efficiency audit, it does come with a cost of around $25,000. If we want to move on from other options, we're going to have to do it. Well, it's not really required because we're in a disaster area, but it's highly recommended to be transparent to the public.
That's what, yeah. That's what I wanted to make sure, yeah, we don't have to do this, but it is.
Yes, no, the district has, after conversations with the board and the superintendent, we decided that it's the best way to be the most transparent as we possibly can. And it's a third party that's gonna come in, so it'll be more,
And this all will be available to the public to see.
yes. They're gonna come and present, we can choose, they can do it remote, they can just post it online, or we can have them come into the district and present at a public meeting, which that $25,000 includes them coming into a public meeting to present the findings.
Any other questions? And the recommendations on page 39.
I move to approve the resolution of the board to select Mo Casey LLC as auditor to conduct an efficiency audit and authorize superintendent.
This is Brian Batts making the motion.
Not to exceed $25,000 with corresponding budget amendment.
Motion by Mr. Batts, do I have a second? Second by Mr. Phillips. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None opposed. Motion carries.
One opposed on that.
Next on the agenda, item 7G, consider and approve resolution of the Board of Trustees transition plan to consolidate close Port O'Connor Elementary School.
This is the vote to close the Port O'Connor Elementary School. Apologies, Darby, I did not catch that either. There's a call for a motion from Bill Schrader.
One minute. Got a discussion up here, it says.
I make a motion on 7G, I make a motion on 7G, to postpone, consider approve resolution of the Board of Trustees for the transition plan to consolidate close Port O'Connor Elementary School, and 7H, discuss and consider consolidation of grades 7th and 8th grade from Seadrift to Travis Middle School.
Motion to postpone.
We can only do one at a time. Restate your motion, Mr.
I make a motion of 7G to postpone consideration and approval the resolution of the Board of Trustees and transition of plan to consolidate close Port O'Connor Elementary School for further discussion. Postpone indefinitely.
Okay.
Postpone indefinitely.
Mr. McAfee to postpone till the next board meeting, if I'm correct, Mr. McAfee.
I didn't say the next board.
7G, I make a motion to postpone indefinitely the consideration and approve resolution of the Board of Trustees and transition plan to consolidate close Port O'Connor Elementary School.
I have a motion by Mr. McAfee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Yeah, I'll go first. Yeah, I know everybody understands. We all understand there's some really tough decisions that are going to have to be made. We're under, the $4 million deficit. Right or wrong, though, I do feel like 7 days is not enough time to make this magnitude of a decision. I think we as a board, with the community, everybody needs more information, more transparency, and more discussion on this before any decisions like this are made.
I'm going to read mine, because I worked really hard on this. Mr. President, fellow trustees, and Superintendent Cardwell, I appreciate the work that has gone into addressing the district's budget challenges. However, I am not prepared to support these recommendations at this time, because I do not believe the board has been provided sufficient information to make a fully informed decision. Just 8 days ago, this board met in a budget workshop to discuss strategies for addressing the district's financial challenges. Last year, the board established a budget and finance committee to review options and collaborate with administration on reducing the budget deficit. While many ideas and recommendations were discussed over that period, no recommendation was brought forward for board consideration or action.
Tonight, we are being asked to consider actions recommended by administration that would permanently affect two communities, Port O'Connor and Seadrift. Before taking actions of this magnitude, I believe the board should have a complete understanding of the educational, operational, financial, and community impacts. The resolution regarding Port O'Connor Elementary states that a comprehensive review was conducted, educational programming was evaluated, transition plans has been established, and closure is in the best interest of students. Sorry, I need a drink of water. As a trustee, I would like to know what educational review was conducted, who participated in that review, what alternatives were considered, and what evidence supports the conclusion that closure is in the best interest of students. Port O'Connor Elementary currently holds an A accountability rating and is one of the highest performing schools in our district. It ranks among the highest performing elementary school in Texas. The proposed receiving campus, Seadrift School, currently holds a B accountability rating. However, that rating reflects a combined elementary and middle school campus rather than a standalone elementary. Based on the information provided to me, I have not seen evidence demonstrating that closing an A-rated elementary school will improve in educational outcome for those students. Likewise, I have concerns regarding recommendations to consolidate Seadrift 7th and 8th grade into Travis Middle School. Seadrift School currently holds a B accountability rating, while Travis Middle School received a C accountability rating for the 24-25 accountability report. Before moving students from one campus to another, I believe the board should be provided evidence demonstrating how that move is expected to improve student achievement, attendance, discipline, and overall student success. I am also concerned that the principal responsible for operating Seadrift School was reportedly not consulted before this recommendation was developed. If that is accurate, the board should understand why the individual most familiar with the campus was not involved in evaluating alternatives or assessing the educational impact of consolidation. What roles were all principals involved given in this recommendation? Please provide their input. Transportation and participation impacts must also be considered. Under the Port O'Connor proposal, elementary students as young as pre-K would be transported approximately 23 miles away. Under the Seadrift proposal, 7th and 8th grade students would travel approximately 28 to 30 miles each way to attend Travis Middle School. These changes will affect not only students, but also families. They may impact attendance, extracurricular participation, athletics, band, UIL activities, family engagements, and the ability for parents to participate in school events. Most importantly, I do not believe the financial justification has been fully presented at this time. If these recommendations are being made primarily for financial reasons, then the board should receive a detailed analysis of the projected savings, how those savings were calculated, what assumptions were used, and what alternatives were considered and rejected. As trustee, our responsibility is not simply to solve budget problems. Our responsibility is to ensure that the solutions we choose are educationally sound, financially justified, and in the best interest of our students and student outcomes. Based on the information currently available to me, I do not believe we have reached that point. For those reasons, I support postponing these items until the board and the public have been provided a more complete educational and financial analysis, and all reasonable alternatives have been thoroughly evaluated. Thank y'all very much.
Everyone back on board here. the alternative to some of these suggestions that we have, and I understand what Ms. Alford is talking about, the extreme measure that could occur with this is the possibility of going to one that none of us on this board wants to see, and that is the reduction of staff and the possibility of layoff of teachers. So I just want to remind all the board members that that is a possibility for us to work towards over the next 3 years of working ourselves out of this deficit. Because if you go back and look at the chart, by 2030, we're going to be out of money, and if we don't do something, TEA is going to take this district over, and we're going to be just like they did in Houston, Fort Worth, and Dallas, and those bigger school districts that have not been financially handling their monies appropriately.
Stop doubling salaries.
Okay, any other discussion on this motion? Okay, the motion is for 7G to postpone 7G indefinitely. All those in favor?
Five to 2.
Moving to 7H now.
5 in favor, 2 opposed.
Matter 7H, make a motion to postpone and definitely discuss and consider consolidation of grades 7th and 8th from Seadrift School to Travis Middle School.
Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
Second from Ms. Alford. Discussion.
My same stand.
Ms. Alford says the same station. All those in favor of that motion?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You vote? Okay. I can't, up and down, with the table curved, I can't see.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. 5-2, motion carried.
The opposite, that was another 5 in favor, 2 opposed, to
Next on the
postpone.
agenda is the proposed schedule of board meetings for 26-27. Ms. Caldwell?
All right, so before you have the schedules of the upcoming school year and the
Bats Schrader.
agendas presented. Any questions or discussion on this? We also were looking at starting a little later, 6 o'clock, so that we can allow more members the time to get there.
He said that he proposes that we move our board meeting times to start at 6 to allow some of the people that work at the plants or are out of town to get here easier. discuss, would you please move outside? We're still trying to conduct our meeting up here. We can't hear with all the noise in the audience. Okay, the motion needs to be changed to the proposed meeting schedule to change the starting time to 6 o'clock. It's an information item only, but I just want to make sure everybody understood the 6 o'clock. Good with that? Okay. Thank you.
I will make a note of that, Lindsay. Thank you.
Is our Lone Star Governance, Ms. Poe, Dr. Poe, I believe.
Mr. President, are you ready for me to proceed? Good evening. I'm Dr. Candace Pohl, and unfortunately for you guys this morning, I couldn't make it tonight, but I am on the school board training committee with our service center, and I'm going to talk about some data for LSG Lone Star Governance. You have this as a soft copy, and you also have this as a hard copy in your folders. So we have some celebrations here. One of the strongest indicators in this tracker, this is your data tracker, based on your May 18th meeting, is a 35% of governance-focused investment of time in progress and accountability.
Cardwell is between Bill and Cindy.
Outcomes. Basically, this is telling us that student achievement remains a central part of your board conversations and decision-making. Another celebration is that the board reviewed 3 student outcome goals, and all 3 were identified as on track. You reviewed, as a board, 9 goal progress measures, the GPMs, which indicate a very robust monitoring process. And rather than relying solely on end-of-the-year data, the board is examining those indicators, those leading indicators that help identify successes and challenges before they become larger issues. All 7 trustees were present for the meeting, which resulted in 100% attendance, and only 3 non-consent agenda items were categorized as other, suggesting that the board agenda is focused and not overwhelmed by other topics. And Ms. Boyer wanted me to make sure and point out that you also did not remove any of your consent agenda items at the last meeting. So, I think that overall this data reflects a board that is maintaining a very clear focus on student outcomes, actively monitoring progress, and demonstrating strong engagement in the governance work that matters most for students. Based on the progress measures reviewed today, the district remains on track to meet its monthly goals, and I believe that Ms. Duckett is going to provide a deeper look at those specific performance data and progress goals.
Sorry, y'all won't be able to see me if I stand behind the podium. Can I sit? Okay. So our goal 1 for Lone Star governance is for the percentage of third grade students scoring meets grade level or above on STAR reading from 53% in 2024 to 61% in 2028. Per the scores that we just got in last week, we are not on target. We were at 48% meets across the district. But if you move on down to our goal progress measures, this is like kind of how we measure it to make sure that our third graders are prepared. Our kindergarten reading RIC scores, the baseline was 136.87 in November. And in June, whenever we finished, it was 151.41. So we had a growth of 14.54 points and a 10.6% increase. Our first grade reading RIC scores started at 155.11 and went up to 170.39 with a 15.28 point increase, which was 9.9%. And then our second grade reading RIC scores started at 172.47 and ended at 186.02. So that showed a 13.55 point growth, 7.9% increase. So what we look at as administrators with this data is kind of that possibly our classroom instruction isn't as rigorous or aligned to the third grade STAR expectations. While they are showing great growth on our MAP test and our MAP assessments, it's not quite aligning to our STAR expectations. So I think as administrators, we'll just have to work on that with our lower grades. But our kids are growing in reading, so that's great. Goal 2 is our math achievement. And the objective is to increase the percent of third grade students scoring meets grade level or above on STAR math from 50% in 2024 to 58% in 2028. Our 2026 target was 54%, and again, we were at 50%, so we're not quite on target there. Again, as an administrator, I think we all agree that that our MAP data doesn't quite align to what the STAR expectation is, but we are working on that. So our goal progress measure for 2.1 for kindergarten math, their RIT score in November was 140.61, and it is currently 158.97. So that was a 13.1% increase. First grade math RIT score in November was 161.01, and we ended the year at 178.71, which was an 11% increase. And then second grade was at 172.76 in November, and we ended at 190.93 with a 10.5% increase. So again, students have demonstrated significant growth in both reading and math across kinder through second grade. Math growth exceeded 10% at all 3 grade levels. Our reading growth ranged from approximately 8% to 11% across grades, and that kinder through second grade students are building strong academic foundations, which is ultimately the most important, that they're really learning in K1 and 2 so that they can be successful. The data suggests that instructional practices and intervention in the primary grades are yielding positive results. Like I said earlier, we need to strengthen our vertical alignment between our K1 and 2 classrooms and our third grade STAR expectations. Continue to use our MAP data to identify and support students before they enter those tested grades. Increase opportunities for rigorous reading, comprehension, and written responses, and then of course maintain successful instructional practices while expanding enrichment and intervention opportunities for students needing additional support. And I know on the two big elementary campuses, we have really worked to protect that intervention time so that all of our children that are needing those interventions are getting those targeted interventions every day. The rest of this presentation is kind of about, well, not kind of about, it is about Jackson Roosevelt, since we just recently got our STAR data. The first slide talks about our reading STAR performance from 2025 compared to now. And you can see we were at 84% approaches in third grade reading, 89% in fourth grade reading, and 86% in fifth grade reading. The things that we need to work on is that our approaches decreased
Yes,
in
the
all
super
grade
student
levels,
is still here.
but our meets and masters went up in most of them.
They are currently going over STAR
Like I said,
performance.
meets increased in third and fifth grade, so we need to just keep increasing our meets and masters. Our third grade masters was at 5%. Fourth grade meets was up 6. Fourth grade masters was up 6, and our fifth grade masters went up 1. The next one looks at our math STAR performance. Our third grade was only 77% approaches, which was alarming to us, but in a couple of slides we'll talk about state data. It seemed to have gone down across the state. Our fourth grade math was 83% approaches, which they were extremely excited about because they were so upset last year with their 78%. And then our fifth graders were at 86%. Again, things that we need to work on is our third grade approaches went way down. So we need to figure that out. And our fifth grade meets and masters decreased. So we want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all of those students. This slide talks about our reading meets performance comparison. And it has JR, and then it has the district, and it has the region, and it has the state. And I really want to speak to about our district as a whole, as well as JR, because I'm extremely proud of our teachers for the hard work that they put in every single day. But our district is above the region in every single one of, in every single grade level for readings in our meets. So I think that speaks volumes. While we're not exactly meeting our targets on our Lone Star governance, we are still producing successful students and having successful scores as a district. And just as Jackson Roosevelt alone, we exceeded the region and the state reading needs performance at every grade level. So again, I think that's just a real true testament. We did it as a district against the state too. And that's just amazing. That's an extremely, extremely hard test. And I encourage all of you to sit down and try to take a third, fourth, or fifth grade reading test. It's unreal what the state is expecting of our students these days. The next one looks at our math masters performance comparison. And again, JR and then the district as a whole, because we're all a team here and we all want everybody to be successful. JR and the district as a whole surpasses the region and the state. So, kudos to every administrator, every support staff, every teacher, and our kids, because us as teachers and administrators walk through those hallways on the days that these kids are taking these tests, and you can just see how hard they are working for us. It is for them, but they're doing it for us to make us proud of them. And so, our kids really deserve kudos, big kudos, along with our teachers. Just some celebrations for us as a school. We outperformed Region 3 and the state in every tested area. Our master's percentage increased in 4 of the 6 tested areas, which is also amazing because it's extremely hard to get masters. 46% masters in 5th grade reading. We had 38% masters in 4th grade math and 30% masters in 3rd grade math. Then this isn't really star data, but it is data that we've gotten towards the end of the year with our TELPOS and our STAR scores coming in. We had 136 emergent bilingual students on our campus, and we're going to get to exit 16 of those, so that's exciting. And then 79% of our teachers, because we do our math test at the beginning and the end of the year to help determine eligibility in TIA. So 79% of our teachers met the required 55% student growth or more on their end of year math. So very proud of them for that too. The reason that we feel our students are successful is first and foremost high expectations. Every single day, we start off the day with announcements, and I end it every day with, we are not here to be average, we're here to be awesome. Just so that they understand that it is important to us for them to be awesome and do the very best that they can, but it's also important for them to do it for themselves. And we talk a lot about that before end of year testing. All of our instruction is data driven. My APs and Ms. Kelly Hadaway, who's our instructional facilitator, are just amazing at disaggregating data and getting it to our teachers so that we can target those interventions that are needed. We protect our small group intervention. We have our block times where our teachers collaborate.
I believe Port O'Connor already got the results.
Monitoring often to make sure that we are meeting the needs of every student. Our priorities for 26-27 at H.J.M are going to be to increase the grade 3 reading meets scores, increase our grade 5 math master score, continue moving students from meets and masters because ultimately that's what we want. Approaches, I think, is in the 30s, and that's not good enough for our kiddos to be successful. So we are always striving for them to get meets and masters. And then, of course, maintain our academic rigor so that they continue to be successful on STAR. Any questions?
Thank you. Okay, it's me again. So I want to make sure that I get this right. Does she walk through each of the evaluation markers with you guys? Is that right? Now we're going to evaluate it. All right, so the first is the vision and goals. The board has adopted student outcome goals. Y'all have been consistently needs focused for all 3 quarters. What are your thoughts on this one as well, for Q4? 12? Okay. Okay. Vision and goals 2, the board has adopted goal progress measures. Those are the GPMs aligned to each student outcome goal. Again, you've been consistent with the 12 across the board. Is that where you want to land for? Or you feel you should land in Q4? I can give you Ms. Moya's suggestion. Yes. Seven. Other consensus with the 12? Okay. Vision and goals 3, the board has adopted constraints consistent with the 9 across the board. I think she would like to push all into the masters, and I think the one piece that she has underlined here is the broad community ownership piece. Thoughts on needs or masters? Needs? Okay. All right, vision and goals 4, the board has adopted superintendent constraint progress measures, CPNs. Looks like y'all have been needs across the board. Is that where we're going to land for this one as well? Mr. Cardwell's shaking his head yes. All right. Progress and accountability 1, the board invests at least half of its time to improving student outcomes. Again, I want to remind you that the quarter 4 average was 34%, which lands y'all still right there at the needs focus, which is 25%. To get to masters is 50% or more. So I think we're going to all be in agreement to stick right there at the needs. Progress and accountability 2, the board evaluates but does not interfere with progress toward improving student outcomes. Looks like approaches has been the consistency here. I think to move up to the needs, Ms. Moya has circled that the staff use the tracker. I don't know if that, where you want to land with that. Approaches or needs? Approaches, okay. Okay. Systems and processes. The board operates in a way that allows the superintendent to accomplish the vision. Looks like consistently across the board here it has been at masters, and Ms. Moya has all the masters checked off for you guys. So it looks like that's where you're going to land. Y'all good with that? Advocacy and engagement. The board promotes the vision. Let's see. Looks like consistently we've been in it does not meet focus. I do have a celebration that Mr. McAfee did host an event last quarter, and Mr. Carwell, would you like to speak about that?
Yeah, we had a community engagement event, and Mr. McAfee handed out the LSG flyers to the city. So it's good.
Fantastic. Would y'all like to say it does not meet focus, or move up to preparing to focus? Where do you feel you land? Ms. Moya does not have needs checked. Yeah, preparing to focus? Yes. Okay. Preparing to focus, yes. Yes, ma'am, that's the second. Moving up. Do y'all want more time? Are we still considering that one? Or are you good with preparing to focus? Synergy and teamwork. The board works collaboratively and with the superintendent to lead toward the vision. Looks like y'all have consistently been under approaches. Average attendance is 95%. Ms. Moya has all of those checked. She does have one check up on the meets, but has a couple question marks. Under the meets, the second bullet agrees that all members have adhered to all policies governing board operating procedures, and then the next bullet agrees that every member has completed all statutorily required trainings. No? Okay. So we're going to stick at approaches. Okay. Still at 3. All right. And is that all that Ms. Moya does other than get y'all to sign this? Excellent. Thank you.
Recommendation is on page 55.
Move to approve the Lone Star governance items requiring board approval as presented.
Motion by Mr. McAfee, second by Mr. Williams. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, at this time, the Board of Trustees will meet in closed session as authorized by Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. You're all welcome to stay if you want to. We're going to move to Ms. Hall's office. So, the Board of Trustees will meet in closed session as authorized by Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code to deliberate appointment, employee evaluation based on the listed duties of public officers.
Thank you to everyone who stuck with it all the way to the end here. We're going to be shortly ending our broadcast, but we really do appreciate you coming by. We're very glad we could provide this information to you. And make sure you stay with us and keep your eyes peeled. We will have an article covering the events of tonight shortly, and the video will also remain up for you all to watch. But once again, I hope you'll have a wonderful night. This is C.J. Better, reporter for the Port Lavaca Wave, signing off.